Welcome, everybody, to the Level Up Show. I'm Sean T. McIntyre. I'm so excited for today's guest. She is a singer, songwriter, Grammy Award winner. From the music group White Sun, she is a teacher of the power of sound to transform your life and the world. I want to welcome to the show Gurujas. Khalsa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sean. I really appreciate that. And I also really appreciate that intro. Thank you for making me sound good.
Oh my gosh. Well, let me just say, congratulations on, your Grammy, and not just that, but the work that you're doing, your music and, teaching the power of sound, which to me is so fascinating because it's the deeper meaning behind, your music. And that's what I wanted to chat with you about, for sure today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's really gratifying when someone sort of understands what we're doing with the music and sort of understands the frequency of our message. There's so many huge teachings on sound, and you have almost all spiritual traditions, almost all religions, almost any belief system people subscribe to. And then separately, you also have the science of it. You have the exploration of quantum physics and astronomers and astrologers, so many people that are studying so the scientific aspects of sound. And I'm so interested in both. I'm so interested in the physical universe and in the metaphysical relationship that it has with the human frequency, the human body, the human reality. So anyway, sound is sort of everything. And in all of these traditions, as I started to say, there's some idea, some belief that creation started with sound. So you have this pretty much existing across the board that sound creates. Things start with sound, it becomes a sound first, and then it can become a reality second. And so the idea is that if we create a better sound, we're creating a better everything. Existence, reality, earth, humanity, happiness, all those things,
Wow, that's so amazing. And I couldn't agree more. And, the one thing that I really love about the world, and, just bringing this back to you, is so many people are coming forward with their gifts and talents, but are also connected to these spiritual principles or truths. And so it's like this, as much as we look at the world and perhaps it's like falling apart, I also see a tremendous opportunity. And so I look at you in the work that you're doing. And, to me, when it comes to music, it can bring me right back to so many places in my life. And to me, that's an opportunity to heal, to reveal, to even transform so many aspects of my life that, perhaps, will allow me to go and, move to the next level or a higher reality. Would you agree?
Oh my gosh, I think that was so well said. I think that was so well stated. Yes, I absolutely agree. I mean, just in terms of healing, we of course have heard of sound healers and crystal bowls and things like this, but I don't know how much we know about the work of, Dr. Helen Lavretsky or Dr. Amen or Dr. Kuldreet Chaudhry, who are actual medical doctors, working in traditional allopathic medicine, Western trained doctors who are using mantras, specifically mantras, to heal neurological diseases, brain damage, Alzheimer's, all these types of things that are being explored. These doctors are exploring and have found huge benefit in using mantras to help people heal from things that previously we thought they couldn't heal from. So yeah, you were saying that you see the world in a very difficult place there's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of darkness right now, but you also pointed out there's another side to that, right? And so usually they say that the universe sort of has a tendency to balance itself. So you have the at the same, if you have something very negative, you also have to have something very positive. So it's like a polarity, and they exist, and it's that equal and opposite that the physicists talk about, right? So at
Yeah.
the same time that we have this darkness, certainly that's palpable on the planet right now, you have people like you on the planet who are healing
Yeah.
with sound and writing books to help people and putting out a frequency and changing things for the better. So at the same time that it's a difficult period in history, at least historians will look back on this time and say there's a difficult time in history. It's also a very beautiful, hopeful time in history, a time of human evolution in a lot of ways.
Oh my gosh. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Uh, I wanted to ask you a question when we're talking about from the perspective of sound healing and
Yeah.
the importance of humanity, each of us moving towards our full potential. How important do you think that that actually is, not only for our own happiness, health, abundance, but also for the world to move into its next level?
If you want to know my opinion, I think that absolutely everything starts with sound.
Mm,
Um, I think sound, let's talk about just the human body. So I have this macro point of view where I sort of look at all of creation as a sound that's vibrating with a certain frequency. But maybe let's just start with the human body, because that's something that we live inside of, that we understand. Well, when you create a sound, and when your tongue moves in your mouth, it's hitting certain meridian points, right?
mm,
And these meridian points are then traveling. You have a hypothalamus, you have the thalamus, you have the hypothalamus, you have here the pineal, you have here the pituitary, and they work together to create peptides. But
mm,
under what frequency are the peptides produced? Well, they're produced under the frequency of the words that you've spoken. You produced a certain vibratory frequency, and the peptides were then generated with that frequency that you gave them. And that frequency was generated by the tip of the tongue typing in almost like a computer code on the
mm,
roof of the mouth. Now, the yogis likened this computer code, the meridians, they likened it to stars in the sky. So you have all these stars in the sky, they form constellations. These constellations then beam onto the planet Earth and they influence human consciousness. Now, at a micro level, we're influencing our own consciousness with the words that we speak. And these peptides have then been programmed, and they've been programmed with our habitual patterns. So let's say we have spoken something positive with a high frequency, or we've spoken something negative with a low frequency. Talking negatively about yourself is one of the biggest crimes. They call it in the yogic tradition. They say that's one of the biggest crimes you can commit, is saying negative things about your own beautiful, perfect self, right? So, or you have, or you're used to using mantras and affirmations, and you're cognizant. You've maybe read the work of Dr. Emoto, and you understand that you can vibrate things and manipulate them in a favorable way or an unfavorable way. So these sounds are then programmed into the peptides, and the peptides will carry this frequency into the bloodstream, and the peptides will dock onto your cells, of which you have between 10 trillion and 30 trillion, depending on who you talk to. They're going to dock onto your cells, and they're going to manipulate even the nucleus itself of the cell. The cell's the smallest unit of consciousness, and you've now programmed a sound into each one of your cells. And what sound do you want that to be?
oh my
That
gosh.
you can help, or you can construct, or you can destroy. I mean, we have the amazing thing about being a human being is you have free will. You do whatever you want. Do whatever you want.
Wow. Oh my gosh. And you just touched upon, because I was going to ask you, obviously, um, self-talk, the
Yeah.
real value of self-talk. And so you just touched upon that. And I
Yeah.
love that. And so even if our cells are programmed with these peptide, bonds on every, it's created a cellular memory, and that can influence our mind, right? That can influence the brain. And so it can create this loop. And so to come out of that, that's how we can begin to break even those old patterns, would be just change your self-talk,
Mm.
create these mantras that we can say, that we can sing. And if you don't mind, maybe I will get you to, demonstrate a couple if you're willing, but,
Yeah, no, that's
that
fine.
would
I
be
can't
amazing.
promise the sound quality will be very good over Zoom, but we
Oh
can.
my gosh. We won't hold it against you, but uh, well, I wanted to actually, before we dive a little bit deeper, I wanted to first start with your name,
Mhm,
Gurujas.
mhm.
And to me that's so beautiful. Is there a meaning behind your name?
Yeah, so it's funny because a lot of people, they see the name Guru Jas, which is one word, and they would assume, and I don't blame people for assuming, they would assume that the Guru is a title. So inside of my name is a title. But I don't see it like that at all. Just to explain the way that the sound works, and for the purpose of our conversation, I don't relate to it as a title. I relate to it as a sound current, and each one of
Mm,
us has an identity that's intertwined with a sound current, and therefore that is helping to shape our journey through time and space. So
mm,
your name, Sean, is helping to shape your journey through time and space, because Sean vibrates at a certain frequency. And you could talk to a numerologist or somebody like this who can understand and really explain the frequency of how, I think, is it called geomancy, how each one of the letters of your name has a
right.
certain number associated with it, and therefore a certain vibratory code associated with it. And so of the name Guru Jas is the same as that. It's a certain sound current that is shaping the way that I move myself through time and space, the way the world reflects that sound back to me, and so on.
Mm,
So guru, if you think of the word guru, of course we associate it, we've ascribed a meaning to it, right? We say, okay, guru means teacher, or whatever people want to
right.
think it means. But in the yogic sciences, the word guru does two things. One thing that it does is it puts light where there's darkness, puts light
Mm,
where there's darkness. That's one thing that it does. And another thing that it does is it creates self-love in the system.
mm,
Self-love. So when you use that coded sound, you're also sending yourself a signal of love. And so this is not, I wouldn't say this is a name that I have because I'm trying to relay a certain meaning to those around me and the world around me. It's really a vibration that I have that helps guide me in the right direction, just like all of us, right? So,
oh,
and then Joss is related to the sound current. So Guru Joss is actually related to the sound current. It's related to speaking high frequency sounds, to
mm,
amplifying the positive in what's around us. Because we always have that choice, right? We can choose negative or we can choose positive, and it's really critical we understand that. And so
yes,
Joss helps amplify the positive, the praise, the gratitude, all of those things. So it's really it's a name for me. It's a name that the world hopefully reflects back to me, so that I can move in the right direction in my incarnation, just like all of us are doing.
totally. Wow. And you said so much there. I loved what you said, which was, to bring the light to the dark.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. I was just saying that to somebody yesterday, that I used to, whenever things got difficult, I used to retreat to the light where I felt safe and secure, and sort of gathered there. But now it's like I started to say, we must bring the light to the night.
Mm,
And what you just said, bring the light to the darkness. I'm like, oh my gosh,
mm.
that way of being, is that's very powerful. So so thank you for mentioning that.
Oh,
You
good.
also mentioned something else which I wanted to touch upon, and you said that people who have command over sound have power over the world.
Yes.
Can you say a little more about that?
Yeah, well, I have someone told me one time, they go, I take a lot of yoga classes, but you're the sciencey one. I was like, oh, I am. What does that mean exactly? And so I do have an interest in both the Eastern sciences and the Western sciences. So to answer that question, I would like to start with Western science. So
Beautiful.
if you have somebody, say somebody gave me the example of Obama the other day. If
Right.
you have somebody like Barack Obama who speaks to large groups of people, to use one of the countless examples we could use, right? So this is somebody who's a powerful person,
Yeah.
who's a person who has a lot of people with an opinion about him, and he's accomplished a tremendous amount in his life, right?
Yeah.
That's indisputable that he climbed to the very top and he was able to stay there and is still up there as far as many of us are concerned. So this is somebody who really has a huge magnetic pull on the consciousness and frequency of many people on the planet. And we all know his name, we all know his background, we all know what he's accomplished and achieved, whatever your opinion might be of him. So this is someone who's had a global impact. Okay, so that's why we're using him as an example. We could substitute the name for anybody else who's had a global impact. So what happens when somebody who has command over sound, which some people hypothesize that one of the reasons Obama won was because his sound current was so powerful
Mm.
when he won the first election. So when he speaks to a group of people, if you were to measure the brain waves in his head, and you were also to measure the brain waves in the group of people, everyone would be at a different frequency at the beginning of the talk, because
Right.
everyone vibrates at our own frequency, of course. And we're all individuals, we're all different. So he's speaking, his brainwaves are doing one thing, and each person in the crowd, their brainwaves are doing another thing. Now they've measured this, and you can Google this, you can see the studies, and you can look at the brainwaves yourself. At the end of the talk, the people listening to Obama, their brainwaves would be at the same frequency as his. They would have the same scan as his brainwaves, because that's the power of his sound. That's the power of his communication. That's the power of his delivery. Not
Wow.
everybody can do that.
Totally.
Powerful speaker can do that.
Yeah.
That's a way of describing that Obama is able to get everyone, he's able to have such command, such presence, he's able to project such power that he can get everyone on his frequency in a short period of time.
Wow.
Now, then you imagine, like, well, so there's people in the room. What about the people watching him on television? Same thing. What about a powerful singer whose song you can't get out of your head? It's
Yes.
not the same when someone else sings it. It's only,
Yes.
you only want to hear that person's version, right? So that it's the same thing. You're commanding frequency over the human mind body computer, right? The brain is the computer of the human being, and you're essentially able to program it with sound. Obama can program my brain with sound, though. So if I'm listening to him, he can do that to me, right? Unless
Wow.
mine happens to be more powerful and my projection overrides his. So
Right.
this is a way of understanding in very sort of contemporary terms, how sound can have power over the planetary consciousness, certainly, number one, and then over reality, number two, the individual reality, the micro, and the macro being the universal reality. But certainly if a single person can get my brainwave and millions of people brainwaves on his, then imagine the power of sound overall.
Wow. I totally agree with that. And I've seen that happen too, but I love
Yeah.
your example. And
Yeah.
that's that's so I love what you said. And because I was going to ask you the power of sound, the effects that it has on thoughts and our emotions, and the way that we can, even take responsibility for our own individual lives. And you're talking about then how that can, play out on a world level.
Yeah.
So
Both
incredible.
positively and negatively, right? Because
Yeah.
right, you have examples like Hitler. Like how does a whole nation get manipulated into this negative frequency, into this completely delusional and infinitely destructive thought form, because
Right.
there was somebody powerful commanding the frequency, the vibration, and they were simply like their computers were simply running the wrong program. If you think of the brain as a computer, the wrong software had been installed, and it's installed with a sound. I was talking to someone today, and she brought up the Hutus and the Tutsis. I hope I'm saying that correctly, those two
Yeah.
tribes of Rwanda, and we remember just horror the horror that was in the news for so many years. And I'm not actually up to date on that situation. I'm curious to see where we are now. But she said it started with a sound, which I hadn't heard before. And apparently you would have loudspeakers broadcasting in the street. They're destructive. They're destroying your livelihoods. They're destroying your crop. They're demonic. They're evil. And then you have neighbors killing neighbors because the sound went in and manipulated the frequency inside the system. It's like, again, installing a software program, and enough people participated in it or were overrun by it or didn't have the power to resist it or the frequency to resist it, that they were programmed to do the wrong thing. So you can do both, unfortunately.
And so I hear you saying, we don't really have a choice. We're going to be a part of creation, creating our own lives and the world collectively. And so how important is it to wake up, to become conscious of what's going on in here and out there, and that free choice, that power of choice, and to really wake up?
Yeah. Wow. I just want to let that question just marinate for a moment for your listeners. Just like how important is it to wake up? Because I think that is just so huge. That is just so there's nothing bigger than moving in the direction of waking up, peeling the onion, getting rid of the trash, getting rid of the negativity, getting rid of the noise, and just commanding your own sovereignty. I think way too often we allow ourselves to be manipulated. And the problem with that is we don't even know that it's happening. So we're running the software, like the examples we use, we're running the software that's been installed on the computer. In other words, our brains have been exposed to certain vibrations, and those vibrations have helped shaped our view of reality, sometimes almost taken over, right? And we have to make sure that our view of reality is our own and not somebody else's. And it's hard to do, because you can close your eyes if you don't want to see something, but you can't close your ears. Your ears are open 24/7, and you're also bombarded 24/7. I was at a gas pump the other day, and there's a TV playing at me at the gas pump,
Wow,
so it's just,
totally.
or you go to the bank and there's a TV there. And so it's just, there's all the time, there's a sound and a frequency going in, and we're not interested in what it is you believe necessarily, as long as you're not hurting anybody. But we are interested that it's your own thought, it's your own belief, and not somebody else's.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Wow.
There was somebody else who told me recently, he started his sentence. He was on his way to a longer story, but he started a sentence and he goes, my friend who has different political beliefs than me. And then he went on, and then I was like, wow, that's so interesting that you have a friend that has a different political beliefs than you. because, because we're kind of told that that's not even possible.
Right? Exactly.
Anyway,
That's amazing. Imagine that for a second. Imagine you could get all of these different people, all these different beliefs, and you could still have harmony. Oh my gosh, how incredible would that be?
Just even that thought could bring tears to my eyes right now. I don't understand where we get this idea that negativity and anger and hate is somehow going to create something good. It's not. In any form, it's not. Even if you have a really good reason to feel angry or negative, it's just going to create more anger and more negative. So I don't know. This isn't rocket
that frequency, right? It's
Yeah.
the frequency that's really
Thank you.
changing,
Thank you.
creating everything. So
You. It's
beautiful.
frequency. And when
Oh,
you talk about people waking up, like how important is it? There's nothing more important. Yeah,
yes. Please.
I'll share some quotes that I really like
Mm,
on this
mm,
subject.
yes.
There's the Buddha himself quoted, and then Drenga Rinpoche quoted the Buddha and saying that you need to wake up the same way you need to, if as though your hair was on fire. So that's what they say. You need to wake up as though your
Mm,
hair is on fire. You need to practice the Dharma as though your hair is on fire. You need to crystallize your consciousness as though your hair is on fire. In other words, you have to move in the direction of your destiny. And there's
mm,
nothing more important than that. And they give that analogy because it's so powerful. It's like, okay, if my hair's on fire, there will be nothing that's more important. Nothing takes precedence over that. And so
yeah.
waking up, nothing's more important than waking up, and also um I want to reiterate a certain, I want to impart, I should say, because I haven't said yet, I want to impart a certain humility with that, because I would just like your listeners to know, I don't know what waking up looks like for you. I only know what it looks like for me. And
Right.
you have to decide what that looks like for you. But it's very important. And
Yeah.
it wasn't only the Buddha that said it, as Yogananda said it. He goes, we think it can wait, but it can't wait. It's the only thing that can't wait. Or Gurdjieff, that philosopher, he said, there's this poisonous word in the lexicon, tomorrow. We keep saying we're going to do it tomorrow. And he goes, it's a poison. It's now. You got to do
Yeah.
it now. So
Yeah.
yeah, Jesse, or I'm sorry, Sean, because Jesse's listening in. Sean, what you're saying and what you're bringing up is just, I think what you just said is really the most important thing that we have, you know?
Absolutely. And I love that quote too, one of the biggest traps for humanity is we think we have more time. Exactly everything. It's like that we have more time. And so the urgency just becomes comfort. It can become comfort. It can become complacency, just habitual. And the reason, and I'm just speaking for myself, that was because I knew that very well. And it created a lot of pain for me. But, in relationships, in just feeling lost and confused. And, what's interesting is I love what you said about having your hair on fire because nothing is more important. And I just want to relate it to even the listeners to us right now. If you are experiencing pain, if you are experiencing darkness, that can be a tremendous opening if you allow it. Because it was even just a couple days ago, I had this migraine headache that seemed to come out of nowhere very quick. And I had to close my eyes because everything was like just so painful. But in that moment, all of my so-called problems outside, things I was focused on, gone, gone. It brought me right into myself, like, oh my gosh, okay, no, here, right now, what's going on in me? And I literally, in that moment, was like, oh my gosh, imagine this power, but not in pain, but that power in just like awakening. I thought, oh my gosh, that's incredible. So I love what you're saying.
That's huge. I feel like we're saying like the same thing in like two different ways that have the exact same meaning. I think
Yeah.
it's really important. I think it's really important. It's interesting. If you imagine the planet right now, we got into a little trouble as a planet in 2020, right? And we haven't gotten out of that. Um, so so we got into
Yes.
a little trouble. And if you just can kind of like briefly meditate, in whatever way that is, on just the sound the planet had to make, to
Mm,
get to that
mm.
trouble. If we
Ah,
kind of like tune into the planet, you can just kind of picture the earth, you can picture the planet, and you can see if you can hear. Now, I know we're not going to really be able to hear here, but maybe with our inner ear or with
mm,
our intuition or with our third eye, we can sort of hear the sound the planet is making. And then you can kind of tune into some of the, the lower frequency or the painful sounds that the planet Earth is making right now, because you can tune into the magnetic field. And then you can just kind of think, well, like, what if this magnetic field was vibrating with a higher frequency sound? Like,
Mm,
what if there was a higher frequency going in? So right now we have a problematic frequency, essentially. What if there was a more loving frequency that the magnetic field was vibrating with? And then you can kind of see how quickly, almost in an instant, that can change reality, that can change the planet Earth, and that can reshape things. And it's really powerful, because if you're vibrating with a higher frequency because you're using better words, or you're using mantras, or you're using more loving sounds, you're part of creation. And so you're going to contribute to the planet Earth upgrading its vibratory frequency. And you
mm.
just sort of, maybe for a moment, just put tell the earth thank you. Or if you know a mantra, you can say Satnam or Waheguru, or any mantra that you can kind of put it into the magnetic field for a moment, and just see the earth vibrating at a better frequency. And inhale, and then exhale. And then, I'm opening my eyes now, but it's a nice little
Mm.
exercise, to just sort of
That's
intuit what's going on, on the planet, and kind of feel the power of sound. And to come back to the Western science, a magnetic field is measurable, and
yeah.
the yogis call it an aura. And a lot of people call it an aura, but it's also a measurable magnetic field. And it's been used in science, Western science, medical science, for as long as we know. And so this magnetic field, it just needs a little bit of healing. It just needs a little bit of help. That starts with the individual, right?
Beautiful, beautiful. And, you're touching upon, a practice even that I do, which is um, going into a meditation, even daily, to help, bring myself back, to help, just like in like micro versions of healing, even to start my
Absolutely.
day, right? Doesn't have to be, it can just be like little bits at a time, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
yeah, oh, well, like what you're saying is just, it reminds me, of something that, oh my gosh, it just resonates with me. I call it's like the prayer of awakening. Let me see what I'm not seeing, meaning beyond the outside. Let me hear what I'm not hearing. Let me feel what I've even been unwilling to feel. And to like, so it's connecting, the parts of me that I'm not yet seeing, but's there. And, so meditation and going for a walk in nature, and simple practices like this and are key for me. Do you have a practice like that, certain
Well,
aspects of,
I mean, now that you said that, that was a really beautiful, I don't know what we call it, intention that you just gave
Mm,
us. That was really beautiful. I thought that was really powerful. And I think I have something similar, but it's phrased a little bit differently. But I think we're both kind of on the same wavelength with that. But I like to open up parts of myself in my meditative practice that allow me to see the unseen.
mm,
And that can be my own individual things that I'm not able to see, that I need to see, or it can be, more universal than that. And it can be sort of more etheric than that. So I'd like to be able to see the unseen and know the unknown and hear the unheard. And if I can do
mm,
that, I can increase my awareness, right? And if I can increase my awareness, I can increase my efficacy, and I can
mm.
do better, in my own incarnation. Sean,
Wow.
I just have to say, it's so delightful to talk to you, because I really feel like our practices and our intentions are very well connected, despite the fact that we're doing something different, we're actually doing something that's the same. I'm
That's
sure you through your books and
oh, this is so incredible. And you know, I think, as you're talking about that, I come back to the analogy that we were talking about. Imagine getting everyone who, in all of their beliefs, as different as they are, but there's a commonality, there's a truth, there's a oneness, there's a wholeness that will bring us together. And then we can hold each other in the differences. But I
yes.
think we need that connection. And so, oh my gosh, I know that you also have a program that you are teaching as well.
Yeah.
Um,
This
Voice
program,
Labs.
I'm laughing because it's been a long time coming, this program. I have to be
Mm,
honest with you. I knew that I've needed to teach this for a long time. I've known
mm,
that for a long time. And there was always kind of like a reason to not do it. and those reasons exist just as powerfully right now as they always have. But I felt that it was that hair on fire feeling, like I have to do it.
mm.
And I can't really describe it very articulately why, but I was like, I have to do it right now. Like it sort of felt like it's now or never. And I
Yeah.
don't know why. There's no logic to that or any reason to that. It was more of a feeling like I have to do it right now. So yes, I'm teaching a sound course and it's my first time teaching it. It might be my only time teaching it. But it is 2 hours a week for 4 weeks, and then we added on a Q&A session, and then we created, I did this with Rama Institute. We created a portal where we have all kinds of videos and audios and PDFs, and my goal with the course is for everybody to be able to use their sound current to their maximum potential. So you kind of
Mm,
started out saying this at the beginning of the call about sound current and using it powerfully. And I have a analogy. You know how you kind of hear that the human beings only use 10% of their brain, or don't you hear this a lot? They say this, right?
yeah.
And I also would say that if that's true, I feel that humans use about the same percentage of their sound. Like we
Mm,
probably use about 10% of the potential of our sound. Most
wow.
of us speak without listening to what we're saying, really listening. I mean, sure, we
Mm,
hear the words, but without deeply listening to our sound. How do we feel about our own sound? Have we developed a practice where we love our own sound? Because remember, our sound is creating our reality. So if we want love and enjoyment and positivity, we have to love our sound. If we
mm,
don't like our own sounds, then we're not going to like our own lives. So you've got to create a way to love your sound, to listen to your sound, to relate to your sound. We have the Big Bang Theory. There was nothing, and then there was a sound. And in the yogic scriptures, it says Om was the sound. Om is the sound of nothingness. So there was nothing
mm,
there. There was nothing there. And then Om became Ong, O-N-G, instead of O-M. It went from Om to Ong, O-N-G. And O-N-G is it puts the creation, actual creation into Om. And so all of a sudden there was a bang, right? The bang created the universe. And
yes.
it's interesting, isn't it? But aren't we creating little universes all the time? Right, in our own lives? We're creating everything around us, all of our relationships, our jobs, our day-to-day existence, our money, our homes, they're all vibrating with a frequency too. There's a frequency in your relationship with your partner, or in business, or in life, or in love. These are all frequencies too. So if you want to create something better, and we'll use the relationship analogy because there's so many, we'll use it with another human being, a love partnership with somebody. So if you have a love partnership with somebody and you want it to be better, you want to upgrade it, or you want to find it, maybe you don't have it and you're looking for it, it all comes from a sound too, because sound creates reality. Sound is creation. And we could encourage your listeners, if they want to see a visual of this, to come back to the actual like physical visual, is just to look up Emoto's work. And most people are familiar with him, but some people are not. And either way, whether you know him or whether you don't know him, look him up, because it's a good reminder of the power of our words, right? So Emoto, Emoto, that's how you spell it, right? Dr. Emoto,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
And what he did, if you're not familiar, was he vibrated water molecules with a sound. So he took the sound of love and he just set it to the water, or put the word on the water, or just created that vibrational frequency in the water. And he would take a before and after picture. That was it. That was it. It's very simple. And the
Interesting.
before picture would just be a molecule, and the after picture would just be like a stunning snowflake or some beautiful crystalline structure. And each one was unique. And then he would vibrate the water with a negative sound. You know, there was one, "You make me sick, I will kill you." That one made the hair
Mhm.
stand up on my arms. He said that to the water. And in the water formed, this is astonishing. I can't even explain it, but the water formed the image of a man holding a gun in the water molecule itself. And he took a picture of it. So it's very, very interesting to see, just looking at photographs of water molecules, we can see how powerful our words are. And if you want anything better in your life, you just have to create a better sound.
Oh my gosh. You know, as you're talking about that, like look at us. We're a body of water,
Yes.
right? And so our words are resonating and creating images. I wonder if there's any correlation to the image that we have in our minds that then we're out picturing on the world,
Yes.
right? Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
Yes,
This is so
absolutely. You're giving me
powerful what you're
chills.
saying. Oh my gosh.
And you think about, like you said, we're bodies of water ourselves. So we're 60% water. So each one of our molecules is vibrating with the sounds of our words. We have to be very attentive. We need to be
Oh my
very attentive.
gosh.
And I understand that it takes some training too, if especially if it's not something we're used to doing. And so you described your own personal practice. You have a way of coming back into a meditative space during the day. And we all really need that on some level. We need to remind ourselves, because we will forget. And one
Yes.
thing that I like to recommend to people constantly is just
Yes.
go into a drawer in your house, pull out an old iPhone that you don't use anymore, find an iPod. If you ever bought one of those, they're like antiques now. Find an iPod, plug it in, but play some sound that you know to be a high frequency sound that's going to benefit you. And I have, like, in this room that I'm in right now, I have two speakers going with mantras, but you don't hear them over Zoom because they're so quiet, but they're still having the effect. So like there's still those mantras are still vibrating over my environment, and they're creating a positive energy, a positive frequency, just like that Big Bang created the world that we live in now. These little worlds are being created all the time. If you look up on YouTube, I love these experiments, and people do them at home now. They used to be done in like universities, but it's easy to do. You take like a metal plate and you put some sand on it, or some dirt on
Yeah.
it, or some metal shavings on it, and you just play a sound, and those particles form patterns. So it's amazing. They really form all kinds of patterns. Sometimes they form, there was one video that I saw on YouTube where they formed it looked like a little solar system. It was amazing. A lot of times they look like mandalas, but this one that I saw on YouTube, they vibrated the particles with a sound, and the particles went in, they started forming balls. They looked like planets, and then the balls lined themselves up on this metal plate. I was astonished.
Oh my gosh. That's so amazing.
So I really think we all need a high frequency sound, at least in our homes, that plays 24/7,
Yes. Oh wow. That's an incredible recommendation.
and it
Oh
takes no
yeah.
effort. It's like all like here's my phone. All I have to do is press play, you know. But I
Oh my
don't
God.
recommend doing it on a device that you use every day or throughout the day, because you're gonna have to turn it off. If
Right.
it's fine to play it on your phone, but do you need your phone? So find an old something or other that you can just forget about,
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh wow.
An old laptop, maybe, even.
That's yes. Oh, I'm gonna definitely do that. That's tremendous. Oh wow. Uh That's this has been so powerful. I feel like I could speak to you, for hours here, but
I feel that way too.
um,
How did this happen? It's already been almost an hour. How did that
right?
happen?
Oh, it's incredible. Wow. Would you do us a tremendous honor of doing some mantras for
Yeah,
us,
I'd love
even a
to.
demonstration to
I'd love
help
to.
set some energies and frequencies for us?
Yeah, you know what I'm gonna do? I would love to play you something. But
Yes.
we'll just do voice because I frankly I don't know, I don't have the technical know-how to play you something beautiful over Zoom. But what I'll do is I'll just do some chanting. Should we do some chanting together? And
Love
we'll
it.
do it in like a nice and a beautiful way. Let's see. I'm trying to decide what I could do. I don't want it to be too long. I'm looking in the yogic languages on my
Oh,
phone
wow.
because these languages, it's an alphabet. It's in fact an alphabet, and each letter of the alphabet has a vibratory meaning. Um, each single letter relates to a certain chakra of the body, relates to a certain
Mhm.
planet, relates to a certain energy and a certain number. So I like to look at these more ancient yogic languages. Well, let's do Anktanasifati. This is from Jepji, and it's a sound current that helps kind of steer the stars in your favor. Um,
Mm.
and a lot of times the karmic ties that we have in our own lives or the karmic obstacles and challenges are tied to our ancestry, to those who
Mm.
came before us. And
Yeah.
so this is a really powerful sound current composed by Guru Nanak, or some people say Guru Nanak brought it to the planet Earth. Um, and it's a way of liberating us from the karmic cycles that might be held in, unbeknownst to us in our family tree. And so we can kind of clear it out 7 generations in the past, clear it out 7 generations in the future. And at the same time, we could take the planets, the stars, which again, we liken to the meridians on the roof of the mouth. We can take these energies and we can steer them all in our favor. Because we always have that, like, we have that thing, Mercury retrograde. What is the one
Oh,
that we're
yeah.
worried about being in retrograde?
Yeah. Mercury and retro.
Mercury.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mercury's in
that's the one we
retrograde.
get worked up
Yeah.
about. It's
There we
just,
go. Can't do anything. Mercury's in
yeah,
retrograde.
exactly. And so anyway, this is just a way of making sure that it's all in our favor all the time. So let's do that.
Mm.
Ang tana sifiti kahing nang te, ang tana karna deng nang te, ang tana vekin surang nang te, ang tana japa kyaman mang te, ang tana japa kita kare, ang tana japa paravare, ang ta karan kete balalahe take, ang tana pae jaye, eo ang tana jane koe. Bota que bota hoe, vadasaye bucha tau che upara ucha now, he vada ucha hova kohe, tesu che ko jane sohe, je vada ap, jana hi ap nanak nadiri karmi date. So that's our Anktanasifati. It's beautiful, a
Beautiful.
beautiful sound current.
Beautiful. Oh
Oh,
my God.
thank you so much. Thank you for inviting us to share that. Sweet.
Oh my goodness. And you have some exciting news. You have another album coming out.
Yeah, well, we're working. I don't have a date for that one quite yet, but it is exciting for me to be working on it. We do have an album very much in the works that feels almost finished, but knowing us, we're going to take our time with the last few steps. So I don't have a release date yet for that. But
Okay.
we do have this album that came out last month called Mystic Mirror. and we're really excited about it. We got to put we have plenty of English songs, but we've never put them on an album before. So this album has our mantra songs that are so deep in our hearts, but also the English songs that's been
Mm.
wonderful for us to explore, and putting the same frequency into the English as we have in the mantras, and these high sort of frequency transmissions. And then we also, that album, we were delighted to see that it went to #1 in a few different countries in iTunes. And again, we were a little surprised because when we released it on SoundCloud first. So it was just free. And that doesn't hit the chart. So anyway, we didn't have anyone promoting it or anything. And we were just like, we were really delighted and surprised by the charting. So thank you for your support.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Yes, that's and I'll definitely be checking that out, and because
Yeah.
that's just absolutely amazing. And I want to encourage everyone listening to check that out, and follow you and White Sun. And where can we follow you more? Social media platforms?
Yeah, social media. I'm probably the strongest at Instagram, but I'm not very good at it. So I'm not like the best at posting and the messaging and stuff, but I do my best. And Instagram is probably where, the app that I open the most. So I would be delighted to connect on Instagram with anybody.
Mm.
And we also have our website, whitesun.com, and we try to post updates on there, any concerts and things on there. And if I may ask, because I'm personally interested, where can we get your next book, and can we pre-order it yet? Because I know it's coming out next year.
Oh, that's so kind of you. Yes, it'll be coming out in the beginning of 2023. Not an exact release yet, or haven't quite started pre-ordering, but I'll definitely
Yeah,
let you know. And
let
I
me know the
appreciate, yeah.
pre-ordering. We'll
Uh,
coordinate your book, and we'll coordinate the
yes,
album at the same time. Beginning
definitely.
of 2023 is perfect timing.
Yeah, we'll reconnect again, for that, for your
Yeah,
big launch. So that'll
yeah.
be amazing. Oh, this has been an absolute joy.
Amazing, Sean. Thank you so much.
Oh,
This has been like so personally fulfilling just to talk to you. Thank you so much.
mm, beautiful light, beautiful energy. Oh, I can just feel your heart and soul. It's just so thank you so much. And I look so forward to connecting again real soon.
Me too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.